I don't want to be here, but...
Hiya, it's the Agenda from Blood Red. I am Dan Austin, this is Dan Morgan, we're from Liverpool.com, and we're here today to talk about the big one at the weekend, the clash at the top of the Premier League table between Liverpool and Man City. But we're going to do something a little bit different, Dan. We've been asked by the lads that look after Blood Red to do a combined Liverpool and Manchester City 11. Before we get going, we've basically settled on the fact that these are a bit of a nonsense, haven't we? But it'll be a laugh anyway, I hope.
Yeah, and it's already a course division between us two at least, so this should be exciting, yeah.
Well, we'll start in goal then. So your choices are essentially Alisson, Becker, Ederson, Adrian, and apparently Kyle Walker, which it feels like we should mention after last night. He ends up in goal in the San Siro, which is a story to tell, isn't it? It's one of the best things about footy, that, isn't it? Like when the ball hits the corner flag and bounces back in.
Yeah.
An outfielder in a goalkeeper top that simply doesn't fit him is one of the real joys of the game.
But also like the excitement, anticipation as he's putting the gloves on and stuff like that. He literally should just be a kid in the street. Because that's the memories it's invoking, isn't it? When you're going, I'll go and goal.
There's always as well like a few staple things that happen when an outfield player goes in goal. There's the opposition gets a free kick on the edge of the box and everyone's going, just hit the target and it's going in. Well, not that. That's not a staple of when someone's in goal. These mics are so irritating. But then there's also the one where the ball gets passed back to him and you're basically seeing what he's going to do in terms of kicking it. Yeah. There's goal kicks. Does he take the goal kicks himself or does he let a different defender take them? There's loads of little intricacies, isn't there?
That's mad if you're a professional footy player that someone else has to take it. It's not like you can't hit the ball far upfield. But
you would hope.
It essentially comes down to the fact that they're saying to themselves, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the best keeper, I'm going to go top corner and make this save. And then it just comes down to just find a way to keep it out the goal, mate. Just throw any part of your anatomy at
your
it.
Face, anything.
Yeah, anything you want. Just stop the ball from going behind you.
I think we've settled on Kyle Walker in net then.
Well, I was going to plump for Andy Robertson, but there you
go. Who you having really, though, out of Alisson and Ederson?
Well, seriously, I think a lot of this will come down to who you think is the best player in the world in their position, because currently I think Liverpool and Manchester City have those options as number one and number two, and I think Alisson Becker is the best goalkeeper in world football.
But he officially is.
And he officially is, and so does the country of Brazil also, because they seem to pick him over Manchester City's keeper. So that's good enough for me, and you know, on top of that, what I watch every week is good enough for me to say that it's Alisson.
Alisson Becker hasn't got a neck like an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah, there is that.
Which also...
Or an emoji tattoo.
Yeah, all of this is making the stronger case for Alisson Becker, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll go with him there. We'll do left back next. Manchester City haven't really got a out-and-out first choice left back every week. It's usually Alexander Zinchenko. He's injured, so won't be playing this weekend. They've also got Benjamin Mendy. How Cancelo has been doing a little bit at left back. It feels like Andy Robertson is your guaranteed winner here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I like Zinchenko. I think he's done well, and he's been blooded well by City. I think he's one of their success stories in terms of actually getting a young player through.
Well, he's improved an awful lot because he went out about 2 years ago on loan to PSV and ended up playing in PSV's second team in the Dutch second division, and everyone's going, there's not a chance he makes it. But towards the end of last season, he was one of their most important creative players with De Bruyne missing.
Yeah, and I think, look, if you asked an honest supporter of any Premier League club, they'd say that they would absolutely love Andy Robertson playing for them. So, well,
I mean, I was going to say the best left back in the world's only playing a mile away.
Well, yeah, they think they've got, you know, the left back's equivalent of, I don't know, Lionel Messi in Luka Dean, which is interesting.
It's like when Nikola Jelavic was better. It was a better player than Luis Suarez.
We can do this all day, can't we? Michael Branch and Michael Owen. Who else?
I've never even heard of Michael Branch.
Exactly. Exactly.
This can be a different episode at some point. We'll just list all the Evertonians that were meant to be better than our lads that you probably won't even know.
Yeah. Second such a celebration.
Centre halves we'll do together then.
Are we doing 4-3-3?
We'll decide when we get to a midfield, I think.
Right.
They do both play 4-3-3, so it feels a bit disingenuous to not do that. So yeah, we'll probably do 4-3-3. But we'll do centre-halves first then. Virgil van Dijk is getting in. He might well win the Ballon d'Or. He's without doubt the best centre-back in the world at this point. There are genuine conversations probably to be had around whether he's the best centre-back that's played in the Premier League, or certainly part of the best pairing that's played in the Premier League. So Van Dijk's going to play.
Absolutely.
The other one then is a bit of a bone of contention. Laporte is excellent. He's not available for the game of the weekend because he's got a long-term injury. He's quite frequently injured, Laporte, which is a bit of an issue for him and Manchester City in general, I think, because it's all well and good having a really talented player, but especially in defence, you want that talented player to be playing every week, and it's a bit problematic when you've got to be taking him in and out quite a lot.
Yeah, and also, we've had our own problems with that in terms of Lovren and Matip. Now, obviously, Joel Matip went on a run from last New Year, which established himself as one of the Europe's leading top centre-backs, and ensured he won a European Cup with Liverpool. But so I think in that sense that we can't obviously look at that in terms of us having an elite, fit, physical centre-back over City when we look at Laporte in a comparative point. So I think if it was an ability-based question, I'd go with Laporte, because I think he is top drawer, and I think it says something that if we were to miss out on Van Dijk, he was the one that we were looking at, and then City go and sign him. So I think he's got the potential to be a City captain, to be honest, over the next 2-3 years. He will have to stay fit, like you say, and I think he's quite unfortunate with his latest injury. But yeah, I think he's a player who they will be putting their money on as someone they need to rely on over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
I like generally in a centre-back pairing to have the idea that there's a lead centre-back. So the one that sort of dictates the way you defend and takes charge of when a ball's getting pumped up pitch and it's right in the middle. He's the one that's going to take it on, and the other one is sort of the one that's sweeping, covering up behind him, which is why I think the Van Dijk and Matip combo works really well for us right now. Again, if we come back to a pure ability question and we're doing a daft combined 11, then you're going to pick Laporte, but I do think we benefit. This is absolutely wild, right when I'm on a roll every time.
Oh, it's like I just uppercutted you.
I reckon the microphone is just a really big fan of John Stones. He's trying to get me attention to go, hang on, there's a better one here.
Like the way that microphone's an embodiment of Ranyard Club.
I'm just going to hold it for the rest now. What on earth was I talking about, lad?
Centre-backs. Joel Matip being good.
He is good. Right back. We got a right back. I can't wait.
Look at it and that.
As soon as I let go of the microphone, it's going to make a strong case for Nico Williams by absolutely digging me in the temple.
You were a check-up.
I'm having Trent. I think he's probably the best right back in the world at the minute.
Yeah. Absolutely the best right back in the world.
He's one of our most important players in a creative sense. He could go on and be a player in loads of other different positions, never mind just centre mid. He could play much further forward, I think, if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
But as a right back, no one, never mind any City player, is competing with him at this moment in time.
Possibly only Seamus Coleman.
The 8 Seamus now.
Oh yeah, it's Sidibe in it now. I'm looking forward to that.
Sidibe's a World Cup winner, lad.
Well, exactly, yeah, of course he is.
I can't believe we've managed to turn a Man City and Liverpool combined 11 into just taking a piss out of Evertonians, but I'm made up with it.
That's That's right. Right.
We're settled on Trent then, yeah.
There's no argument for me.
No, we were classing Kyle Walker as a goalkeeper anyway, so it's only really how Cancelo, and he's played about 3 matches. So we'll move into midfield, and we've got a choice with the holder, haven't we, really, between Fabinho and Rodri. I think Rodri's really good. I was really impressed by him. We watched the game together, the Charity Shield in Wembley. Yeah. I thought he was great. I thought he was their best player. He's really good at recycling the ball, and that sounds dead boring. But in a team like Manchester City, where you want basically all of your other lads to be really good attackers, that's dead important. It's arguably more important than Fabinho doing it for us, in a sense, because Fabinho's got 2 other functional lads either side of him that are also designed to get the ball and give it to the better ones, give it to the ones that are good in attacking areas. City haven't quite got that. It's basically Rodri's job on his own. So I think he's a really, really good player, but he hasn't got anything like the breadth of skill that Fabinho has. Loads of people, when we signed Fabinho, thought that he was a destroyer, that he's there to tackle, and he's really good at that. He's got really long legs. He intercepts the ball loads. But for me, he's a really complete centre mid. He can pass the ball long. He can play through balls. He's a menace around the edge of the box as well. He scored a couple of goals for Liverpool that you wouldn't really expect him to. I think that there are very few more complete centre mids in world football than Fabinho right now.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. His development in a Liverpool shirt's been unbelievable. I agree with you on Rodri. I think that when we watched him, the one thing he struggled with was the intensity. of the fixture, and it was his first game really on English soil. So you could see it was a huge epiphany for him. It was like, God, this is quick. But he was one of those players you looked at and thought, when he gets it, like when it drops for him in the same way it did for Fabinho around this time last year, he's going to be something else. And I think it's important to distinguish the difference between what we ask Fabinho to do, like you say, and what they ask Rodri to do.
Different.
Because they have a lot more ball and a lot more territory. So naturally he's going to recycle, and naturally he's going to be carrying the ball from deeper into further forward, final third areas. But in saying that, he does look like someone who can get a grasp of a game of football in the way that they require under that manager. I think the problem, a wider point that they may have, is if and when Guardiola goes, they very much have a majority of Pep Guardiola players. So while Rodri could work in a different shape, it's almost as if every player they've got is a byproduct of a Pep Guardiola system, and it's almost as if you'd have to remould a lot of them in many ways to be something completely different or to work in a different way when they're faced with not being a Pep Guardiola team. And you know, that's probably a piece or an argument or a conversation for another day, and it might be the same with Liverpool. But it just feels like Liverpool's midfielders especially are a lot more fluid, a lot more able to carry out a wide range and variety of different jobs and different functions, whereas at Man City it's very much you do this in this team, and the whole collective cohesion will be something that gets us over the line. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops over time.
Important to point out for any Evertonians watching that Lee Carsley is a better player than both. We'll do the number 8s, as Klopp calls them, next as a pair, because this is where it feels like there's probably more of a case for Man City, just because they've got players that affect the game in the attacking third more than what Liverpool do. Because Guardiola asks these two players to be his most creative ones. It's coming again. And Jurgen Klopp asks his fullbacks to be the most creative ones. So this is where the 2-4-3-3s actually become very different tactical setups, isn't it? So it feels like you've got a choice between, well, do you go with the functionality of Liverpool? Do you go with the attacking of Man City? Do you pick one each and try and balance it? What are you doing, Dan?
So I think the reason I asked before if we're playing a 4-3-3 is that I think if we're doing an honest combined 11 and saying what would be the best team, just imagine a team that's got Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back down the right hand side of the pitch, and Kevin De Bruyne as left centre midfielder down the left hand side of the pitch. I mean, your delivery, your accuracy, it'd just be an unbelievable game to watch in terms of the types of balls that they could put in from either flank. And I think the balance of that would be absolutely unmatched in any team, and possibly any of the last 5 to 10 years in football. I think it'd be something that would be a huge spectacle. So I think you have to, in my opinion, you have to have De Bruyne as your left-sided number 8 if you're going to have Trent in the team. That probably means it's at the expense of Wijnaldum or Henderson. The other side, if you're picking them, you might go for someone else in City colours. You might go for Bernardo Silva.
I'll be honest, I'm quite occupied with stopping my microphone from making a real strong case for Phil Foden at this point. I think that's what it's trying to do. So we just run through the players that we could pick then. So I'm having De Bruyne as well, absolutely. So that means for the other side, we could have Jordan Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, James Milner, Adam Lallana, Naby Keita from Liverpool, or from Manchester City they've got what? Well, they've got Phil Foden, David Silva, Bernardo Silva,
Ilkay
Gundogan, and I think that's about everyone. We haven't mentioned Fernandinho, but he's sort of between positions at this stage and wouldn't be getting a shout anyway. I think for me, I'd pick, although he sort of shifts between centre mid and the right wing, I think I'd pick Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, I think I would too.
He's a great player. He's one of those that can do pretty much everything he's asked. He's really versatile in terms of the place that he can be placed on the pitch by his manager, but also just the different skill sets that he's got. It feels like he can do pretty much anything. And I think in a Klopp midfield, in that 8 role, he'd be really, really good, because he's someone that can score you goals and make goals, but also he's doing loads of pressing. He's doing loads of harrying opponents. He gets a stupid amount of tackles and interceptions as well. I think he's a really, really talented player, and although Liverpool have got an array of really, really good midfielders, and I'm not in any rush to swap any of them for anyone in real life, I think if you're going off an individual basis, having De Bruyne and Bernardo in front of Fabinho feels like the ideal.
Agree, and I think it's a lot of that's based on the season he had last season. I think if he didn't have that season, then you would make the argument for probably Wijnaldum, but maybe Henderson, because obviously David Silva now is getting to an age where he's slowing down. But the season, Bernardo gets them over the line last season for me, along with Kompany, from January onwards when they go on that run of 14 games. So I think he deserves to be in there.
Right, we've got a front three to do then, and this is going to be very difficult because we've given ourselves no moves. Off air, I was talking about whether we could sort of blag this a little bit and have two in midfield and pick a front four. We've settled on a 4-3-3, so that means plenty are going to have to miss out. We'll not mess about with any of the other lads. It's basically you've got a choice between Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, Sergio Aguero and Raheem Sterling. I'm having no shouts for Gabriel Jesus or Riyad Mahrez. Just not happening. They're not in the conversation.
No.
So you've got to pick three from those five. Where are you starting? Who's the one that cannot possibly miss out for you?
Cenk Tosun.
Oh God! What was his name? Strachwell-Azy. If we've got De Bruyne and Trent in the side and Robertson putting all these balls in, we need a big 6'5" man to nod them in. Surely,
where is Umani Ash these days?
Is he at Crystal Palace?
Is he? I thought
he
he
might
still
be
at Everton, to be honest. Anyway, right, okay. So for me, I love Raheem Sterling, and I think he's one of the top three players in the Premier League, if not Europe. So I am going to take Mohamed Salah out of my side.
This is absolute sacrilege.
Well, it is what it is. I'm sure I'll be called out by those viewers who watch this. But I'm going to take Mohamed Salah out of the Liverpool side based on current form, and I'm going to replace him with Raheem Sterling. I'm going to put Sterling on the left. I'm going to put Sadio Mane back on the right, where he started his Liverpool career, and I'm going to have Roberto Firmino through the middle of the park.
I think I'm not having Mane on the right. I think it reduces so much of what he's good at. Do you not think you're not getting the best out of him? You're basically building your front three around Sterling, really, aren't you?
Well, yeah, because I think he's that good. But also I think either flank Mane is devastating. I think a lot of the reason he gets his berth on the left for us is the combinations with Robertson later on in games, because the pair of them are supremely physically fit, that you just see that they are able to exert that when other teams are basically knackered, and they very much become Liverpool's out. Where I think Sterling tactically is phenomenal, and I think tactically he's probably better than Salah. I think Salah's still got a lot of development and a lot of ways in which he can improve off the ball as well as on it, but I think tactically Sterling is the better player. That's not to demean Mo Salah in any way. Mo Salah has become a predatory forward, if you like, striker, central striker since he came back to England with Liverpool. More so that player than a player in Sterling's mould who will play in those wider areas. But I think there's a bit of a crux with Salah now in terms of what he goes on to become. Whereas I think Sterling, I think whilst operating in those wide areas, he still remains and manages to be the fulcrum of Man City's attack and their most potent outlet in attack. So I think that him on the left, the way in which we would be able to feed him and get him in down those little pockets of space in this Liverpool team would be devastating.
Right, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to have as my first one Sadio Mane down the left, because I think he might just well be the best player in the world at the minute.
Don't disagree.
Over the course of 2019.
Don't disagree.
He's scored, I think it's now 27 goals in all comps this year, and loads of them have been crucial. They've either been ones that have given Liverpool the lead in the game, or they've been ones that have won the game. I think it's 9 of them might be match winners or something like that now.
Right.
And also for me, Mane scores every single kind of goal you could conceive of. He's really underrated in the air. His right and left foot are pretty much equally good. I was watching the video before of the left-footed goal that he puts into the roof of Ederson's net in the 4-3 win. That's an absolutely incredible shot. And I just think you play to his strengths no matter what you can do. I've been quite annoyed this season, the couple of times we've seen him play on the right, like at Old Trafford, and it just feels like it negates so much of what he does coming in. So I'm having Mane on the left. I'm having Mo Salah on the right as well, because I think that he is a player more than any of the others, more than any of the other four that would be candidates for this, that can just make a goal happen from nothing. They're all incredibly talented, and they all score loads of goals. They're all brilliant footballers, and to leave two of them out of this is hard. But for me, Salah is the one that can just pick a footy up in a position where he's got no right to score a goal, and within 2 seconds it's in the net.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
So I'm having him on that basis, because it feels like if for some reason this 11 was struggling in a match, he's the one that might just pull you out of it more than anyone else. And then down the middle, I've got a real conundrum, because I could have obviously Firmino, because that front three works so well together, and he does so much of the work that makes them to operate on the level that they do. Aguero scores a ridiculous amount of goals just every single week. And I also think that Sterling could play that role. I think he could be the sort of proto Firmino type player, where he brings other players into play. He's good at playing little through balls. He's good at running beyond the last defender, but also he can finish. So I think I'll probably leave Aguero out, actually, because beyond the goal scoring, I don't think he's doing an awful lot to help Mane and Salah. And I don't think that in the way that Man City play, he's doing an awful lot to help Sterling or Mahrez or Silva or whoever else. His game is very much about himself, and that's absolutely fine, because that's the way they play, and the others sort of enable him rather than the other way around. So pure
for Duncan Ferguson.
I was going to go for Moise Keane. Hasn't scored any goals in the league yet, but he's going to come good one day, lad.
Well, he set himself a target of 7, so well on target.
Just purely out of Liverpool bias, I'm going to pick Firmino, because I just love watching him play footy. Sterling's great as well, and I do wish that he still played for Liverpool. It's not realistic that he would have still played for Liverpool, and we would have never got these lads either if he did. But I just love watching Roberto Firmino. He does everything. We underrate loads of things about him in terms of his actual athleticism. We talk a lot about his selflessness and work ethic, but in terms of being a top level athlete and a genuinely elite footballer in his own right, I think we underrate him sometimes. So I'm just going with our front three, because they're bloody great.
Absolutely.
And why not? Right,
Absolutely.
That's where we've got to. Then we've been fairly consistent up until we got to the front three.
I think we were on course until your microphone started hitting you with uppercuts.
And really making a consistent show for Thomas Gravison feeding Brian McBride was what my microphone was doing.
Absolutely.
At various stages there. So the microphones are blue noses. That's all that we've got time for. Thank you very much for watching. Do make sure to subscribe to Blood Red, and also check out Liverpool.com. We've got loads of writing on there about the Man City game, because it's just the biggest in world football at this point, isn't it? So make sure to check the website. Thank you for watching. All the best. Enjoy the rest of your day.